And so we might want to add more flexibility to our loops. Then we might think of making use of the break or continue statement in PHP. And that is exactly what we are discussing about in this particular video tutorial. So at this point you might be wondering, what is the difference and how do I make use of the break and continue inside my loop in PHP? First of all, you have to learn what they do. The break, what does it do? The break allows us to end a loop before it reaches its actual end. So there are some points in time that a condition might be met already and you don't want the loop to continue anymore, but you've already specified within the condition to continue till it reaches the end. But at this point, because of a certain special condition, you don't want that loop to reach its end. What then do you introduce? The break. Now, what of the continue? The continue allows us to skip over a certain part of the condition to the next. So sometimes you want to jump over a certain condition within the loop. The continue statement will help you take care of that. So what am I actually talking about? This code that we're about to discuss will explain better. I'm sure this code looks familiar. This is the same counter program we wrote in the last video tutorial. Now I want to introduce the break into this loop. Notice how the number prints nicely from 1 to 10. But I want to skip the number 7. But I want to actually stop this loop when it gets to 7. I don't want it to print out 7 anymore for some reason. How can I take care of that? I could just simply come here. Let me just remove this and introduce our if statement into this loop. So I will say if counter is equal to 7. Notice I want the code to stop immediately it gets to 7. So if counter equals 7, what should it do? I want you to break. That's all. Now I need to specify the else statement, and within the else block you can guess what I will do. I'll simply tell it to echo counter as usual, only that when it gets to 7 it should break for me. Is that clear enough? Now I will just save this and I will refresh this, and you notice that it just prints 1 to 6, despite the fact that we said here that counter should keep increasing until it gets to 10. So we actually broke out of the loop earlier on by specifying this if statement here. So that is the power of the break. The break actually allows us to break out of the loop before it actually reaches the end of the loop. This can come in very handy at some point in time. So the question now is, what about the continue? Remember, we said the continue allows us to skip over a particular condition to the next one. So to illustrate this, I'll just change this from break to continue. Now notice what happens as we tell the code to continue once counter reaches 7. If I refresh this, you'll notice that immediately after 6, it skips 7 and jumps over to 8. So it skips that particular condition and continues to echo counter. So that is the power of continue. So that is a basic difference between break and continue in PHP. I have an interesting exercise for you guys. It might be cheap for some of you, but it might be worth trying out. So I am waiting for you as usual in the next video.